The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The words are so familiar to many of us, this 23rd Psalm, memorized and stored in a place beyond memory. When I conducted worship on memory care units in nursing homes, these words would liberate a room full of voices that had been lost in Alzheimer's, and they would join me full voice in the familiar poetry, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." But sometimes these words are almost too familiar. We often forget how countercultural they are to the world in which we live that is filled with want, material poverty, lack of education, lack of health care, joblessness, homelessness, the ravages of war, or a rampant anxiety that has gripped the world and the culture, fear of loss, of losing a job or a family breaking up. The advantage in the marketplace is lost. The religious majority is slipping away. The coveted status that we've worked so hard to achieve is no longer there. Fear, and in a highly fragile and inhospitable climate. The morning news frames the day's anxieties for us and the dangers that we will confront. There's always that difficult email that greets us first thing in the morning, or text messages that begin the day in difficult challenges and anxious moments. We know what the world is like that we live in if we see those emails and the timestamp corresponds to too early in the morning or too late at night, and is the result of a level of sleepless anxiety in which the writing took place. But it is precisely in this kind of world that the fourth Easter Psalm makes its impact. Think about it. That instead of being met by those anxieties and realities that are there, we focus on what God is doing and how God is in our lives. And begins to say to us, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." It opens the door to the constant blessings of Scripture. Remember, fear not, for I bring you good tidings of a great joy. Jesus says, do not be anxious about tomorrow. It will take care of itself. Today has enough worries of its own. And these are but a few of many, many more. In a recent lecture, Dr. Dwight Judy, professor of spiritual formation at Garrett Evangelical, reminded us of the important place of prayer and Scripture and the recentering on the hope and promises of God before we enter the troubles that are surely to be there in every day. Leadership that grows out of the discipline of beginning the day and even interrupting the day and specifically closing the day with the promises of God will form and frame the spirit in which our leadership is exercised. In an anxious world in which quiet desperation saps life, enhances addiction, and the frantic search for relief, fear of tomorrow and its dangers, to take the moments to listen deeply again to the comprehensive protection and salvation and empowerment of God as the vanguard and guide of life and leadership in these days. Let us simply listen to what that promise says to us and give ourselves over to it as we begin this day. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. May your spirit be renewed, that the Lord is our shepherd. We shall not want, and that our hope rests that today, tomorrow, and forever we dwell in God's household together. Blessed Easter.